All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott, formerly of Rankin Technical College. And under my Jeff Teaches Program Python YouTube playlist, under my JPS-Jeff Teaches Programming YouTube channel, so far I've created 6 videos. The 6th video is actually broken into 2 parts. Too long a story as to why. But it has most of the Python keywords in it. And what I did was I wrote a humongous program, humongous in that it was over 100 lines long, and it wasn't very well documented, etc. So what I did was I went back, just so you know, and I'm about to show you. Where are we? Not there, no. There we go. I've decided to keep using, good, bad, or indifferent, my Rankin GitHub account. So if you go out to https://github.com/jpscottrankin/keywords, what you'll find is I've broken this program that was called hello.py. I broke it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 programs. And I'd like to take literally just about 5 or 10 minutes and show you, for lack of better words, what I've done here. So, well, I was hoping it would have come up, but that's okay. I changed the name. So, open folder. It is called Keywords. All right. And you can see under here, I've got a program that goes over and, or, and not, a calculator program, and it's version 1, because I'm going to make changes to it in a bit. Global.py, hello.py, this was the original. There's a bool.py, I may have skipped that one with Boolean. Iteration, which goes through if and match case, if, elif, etc. None, which goes over the none keyword. Actually, iteration is for and while, and selection is match case, if, elif, etc., and type is type. So if I quickly go through these, and I mean it because this lecture is probably only going to be about 10 minutes or so long. Hello.py, as it says, this is the original program created in the video. Later I broke each individual piece into its own program. So let's just take it alphabetically from the top. If you want to put a multi-line comment in Python, you can either use, as I've done here, 3 double quotes, or you can also use 3 single quotes. Either one will work. All right, they both work. So as you can see, the and or not demonstrates, and I put down most of the stuff in here. It's the same program that I put in here before. All right. And if you run it, you're going to get in here. Here we go. Not met, met, etc. So that's the first one. All right. So let me save that. All right. Then we've got the Boolean one where I had an is married and if is married. This is a shortcut. It's as though you came in here and said, if is married equal true. You can use that. I don't know of any programmer that does, but I believe you can without any kind of problem. All right. And if I run this one, since it's set to true here, here's one where I didn't set. So let's do this. This one doesn't have any functions in it. We'll just leave it the way it is. And you can see it says the individual is married. Okay, so that's the bool one. The calculator, I did go in, as it says, I created the 2 numbers as before. Then I set this up. Very simply, all it says, in other words, is if the first number is less than the second number, flip them. Because I was finding when I ran this, I was getting a lot of negative numbers for my subtractions. So now if you run this, you're going to get something that looks like this. So notice we've got 78 and 14. I prettied it up a little bit. So 78 plus 14, 78 minus 14, 78 times 14, 78 divided by 14, which actually does a floating point divide. The double slash, and I couldn't remember what it was, throws away any remainder. All right. If I want just the remainder, I can use the modulo. And here, this is 78 raised to the 14th power. All right, so that's those. Global, where again, we went in here and ran this. And the first time we ran it, it printed 5. And then we put the global keyword in. And here, it prints 100. You may or may not remember this. This was the one where it actually is creating a brand new X, which is a local variable there. So when we run this, it should say 5 and then 100. Or 5, 100, and 100. Okay? All right, so there's that one. We've got the hello.py. Again, that's the original one, so I'm not going to go over that. Iteration, which I put in here the for example and the while example. And I've added a little bit of context here. In other words, I put these into functions, and I put a print statement in there that says what should print. So if we look at the first one, it says for test should print 0 through 4, and it does. While test should print 1, 3, 4, 5. It's got the continue in it, and it does. And in fact, with that one, I guess I could do this as well. So we've got while test. Let's change this to while test continue. All right. And I'm going to also put in here a while test break. All right. So this one will be while test break. All right. So what's the difference? Well, first of all, when I call them, this will now have to be continue. All right, and while test continue, and then I will call, so we will call while test break, and you can see the IntelliSense pick that up. All right, so what's the difference? Well, here's the break. All right, so a while test, we'll put in here if n equal 2, then we'll break. So this should print just, I believe, 0 and 1. Let's see if I'm right. So we're going to change that to break. All right. So let's see if indeed that one does work. So while test with break. And the other one is a while test with continue. All right, so let's save these, run this one, and see if it worked. Well, let me save again, and let me run it again. All right, while test should print 0 to 4 with break, should print 0 and 1, and only printed 1. That's okay. While test with continue should print 1, 3, 4, 5, and it does. So let's change the verbiage here. Should print 1. All right, now we can come in. Let's do that. All right, I set it equal to 0. So let's see now if it does print 0 and 1. Okay. So with break should print, I thought it would print 0 in there, but it's not. All right, and with the continue, that's working. So let's take a quick look. While test break, n equals 0. Oh, we've already added it right here. See that? So that's no biggie. Let's just take that line and move it down. Like that. Nope. We want enter, and we want to move that over to here. There we go. Now it should print 0. We want to add 1 to it, but we want to add 1 to it at the end. All right. And I think it probably won't like, it'll like it more like this. So let's see if we now get 0 and 1. While test with break should print 0, 1. All right. For test should print 0 to 4. And while test with continue should print 1, 3, 4, 5. So that's all of those. We've got none, which is very simple. And it just shows that if we come in here, remember that we're not returning anything here. All right. So when we call this, it will print hello, but since it isn't returning anything, X doesn't really have a value, so it should print none. It should print hello followed by none, and there's hello followed by none. All right. Next, we've got selection, which is the if stuff. And again, I went back to try to make this a little bit easier for people to read and understand. I put it in as two functions. Here's a function with match case. Here's the same function with size. And in the if here, I added a final else. And I did not remember, so let's check right now and say, how do you show a default in a Python match case? Okay. How do you show a picture in Python? How do you do it? You can define a default case. For this, you use the wildcard. So let's look at an example. So it's like this. Okay. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to come up here. Oops. Put it there. And now I'm going to say print unknown size. Unknown size. So if I run this a third time and I call match, in fact, let's run it 2 more times. We'll type in here match test, and we'll pass in hello both times. So that's match test with hello, and we'll also call if test, and we'll pass in goodbye. Since neither one of those exist, this should print if, in fact, this should say if size, unknown size, and this should say match size, unknown size. Let's see if this all works. Run it. We should get 4 lines of output here. Don't know why it didn't run that, but it didn't, so let's double check. All right, so match size large, match size small, match size unknown, if size unknown. So it's all working. Finally, here's the type, which demonstrates the different types. And again, I wrote a single function, show type. All right, and we can pass in an integer, a string, a float, and a Boolean. And when I run this, you'll notice that my output is indeed there we go, int, str, float, and bool. So very quickly, that's what I wanted to show you. So again, if you do go under here, I'm going to add it to right where I am here. So if you go to here, come on, well, to github.com, my GitHub repository, and there's 200 or 300 repos out there. There's, pardon my French, but there's a lot of crap out there too. I should go in and clean it up. If I ever come up with the time, I'll do so. But if you do go out to github.com, JP Scott Rankin keywords, really probably should have called it something like Python keywords, and I didn't, and I'm not going to change it. All right. But if you go out there, what you will find is this. So here it is. There's keywords, and it's all the ones I just went over with you. All right? Okay, that's about it for today. I hope to come back tomorrow and write 2 more programs. One where I'm going to do I'm going to add to the calculator program that we did. We'll add some stuff, including more user interaction. All right. And some other stuff. Some stuff we've talked about, some we have not. And then maybe a guessing game program. All right. So I'll see you then.